And does anyone have anything to add or questions? Yeah.
What sort of things do like the counselors in training or whatever do?
That will be, as yet undecided. We didn't really have that fully implemented last year, and that will, in a large part, be decided once we find out who is of that age coming to camp, and where they want to help, and where we feel we have needs at camp. As we put the program together with all of the volunteers and which areas they can cover best, that's where we'll figure out where we have the positions that the campers in training would be able to have out. And hopefully we'll have a lot of them helping out with areas where the counselors have some strong areas so that they can learn directly from someone doing one of the great jobs.
Yeah. A lot of the other Camp Quests also have CIT programs, and in general what it is for them is that those CITs actually are sort of assistants to specific counselors and helping them organize or plan for certain events so that they get a taste of what it's like to be a counselor, and maybe even help organize some of the younger kids too, so they get a taste of that.
And we will try to, if a counselor, someone wants to be a counselor in training and has a particular focus they want, we will definitely try to help put them that direction.
Where do the regular counselors come from that help counselor?
All over the place, volunteers. And that's a perfect question, because if any of you want to be volunteers, we would love to have you as a full week-long counselor, staying in a cabin with the kids, being with them most times during the day with, breaks for a variety of needs. You don't have to be with them all the time, but it is most of the time. But you don't have to be a full week counselor. If you have merely a expertise that you want to focus on, maybe you are an artist of some sort, maybe you're a scientist of some sort. Let us know. You fill out a volunteer form and say, I want to do a one-day, hour and a half session on this type of program that I will present, and we would be happy to work to get you just in that one slot.
You also have to pass a full background check also.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
I was like,
I was going to say, how do you vet your counselors?
Yeah, we do background checks. Which
counselors go through some kind of training?
Yes, so there are training materials that are provided before camp. We actually have not been able to determine whether or not we're going to have a workshop. A lot of our volunteers come from a pretty wide, disparate area. But one thing that we are planning on is having everybody arrive at camp one day before the campers arrive, so that we can go over the whole facilities, go over the schedule, make sure everybody's on the same page, and as far as what activities are going to be handled and how things are going to be split up.
I teach high school, and so I'm off in the summer, and am extremely interested. And so, how do I get a hold of? I have a 2-year-old back here, so I've been in and out.
Go to campquesttexas.org.
Okay.
Go to our website. There's a little sign that sass volunteer.
Okay.
Click on that. There's a short online form. Fill that out. That information comes to us, and we'll send you out a full volunteer packet that you can fill out.
Okay.
Yeah, campquesttexas.org.
Okay.
How far in advance do you know what the activities, curriculum, whatever, are going to be for the upcoming?
should be right about a month.
About a month?
Yeah.
Because it'd be nice to have something say, this is what they're going to do. Do you want to go? I've got some friends who might be interested in it, but it's like, well, I don't know. What are they going to do? Oh, they're going to do camping stuff. Well, what's that?
The particular full program actually tends to be a bit of a surprise to the campers when they get there, because there are some things we like to keep as surprises.
Right.
Like that particular science experiment.
And a good rule of thumb is to go over the stuff that we did last year. And that's a pretty good sampling of the types of things that we're liable to do.
Absolutely.
There's going to be critical thinking exercises, science exercises, arts and crafts, and fun games. I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
Can you elaborate a little more on the scholarship opportunities available?
At least those we have right now. We have the Kagan scholarships, which were need-based, have been assigned, but we do have 2 more camperships in the offing right now. We may have more, but right now that's what we have.
Okay.
And these other two are the ones that were offered from the Eversoles that are, write the essay. The camper writes the essay of why they want to go, what they would want, or something about life and why they want to go to summer camp.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Of course, I mentioned the Helen Kagan Memorial Campership that's been set up, and those camperships are available to all Camp Quests. But we're also very fortunate at Camp Quest Texas to have Joe and Mary, who have basically picked us, as the recipients of their generosity, because they've set up a specific campership for Camp Quest Texas. What Philip was saying, there are two that are currently available. It's I think they're still receiving applications till the beginning of July. Like you were saying, your child can choose to either write an essay or do a special service project. So there's two different opportunities depending on what your child is interested in and would like to do. And then just basically there's forms that are available. They're on our website right now if you want to apply. You fill out the forms, do the project, write the essay, send it in, and then Joe and Mary do the judging, and then we find out who get. But the most important thing is because of them, 2 extra kids get to come to Camp Quest Texas for free, which is fantastic.
And if anyone here wants to sponsor a camper, or anyone watching on the podcast that eventually gets made, we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah.
Can donations be made for some amount less than, full thing,
Oh, of
375,
course.
50, 100,
Of
whatever?
course.
Okay, so info's in that is on.
And that's actually one of the
Thing.
best ways to help out is rather than dedicating for some particular purpose, making it general, which lets us plan for getting the campsite earlier the next year, which lets us get better option for dates, things like that. So it helps camp in general. Goes to the supplies we'll actually be taking to camp, etc.
I got a bit of a dumb question. I know there's a big fundraising push right now. Do you have a dog in that fight?
PZ Myers.
Actually, I kind of go for the underdogs. So the underdogs. I mean, I like them.
Well, and in particular, Amanda was with us last year. How could we not go with her own? But it's also hard to say no to PZ. But Amanda's such an awesome person.
Well, I
that,
would like to see him shave his beard.
I know that makes that one difficult.
For those that don't know, a bunch of bloggers are having a big Camp Quest fundraising drive right now. And what they have is, it's PZ Myers, who's like the premier atheist blogger, versus about a dozen other bloggers. And they're all trying to together raise more money than PZ. And apparently, like within the, they had a fundraiser right off the bat, and he just trounced everyone. And so now they've brought in a whole bunch more bloggers, and they're all trying to beat PZ and raise more money than PZ for Camp Quest. So it's a really cool thing that's going on right now. And if you're even that would be a good way to throw a little money in.
Yeah, it's just like never point the perambulator's at a pole.
Right, yeah. And so they've raised thousands of dollars already, I think.
Camp Quest, I mean, honestly, Camp Quest is a no-brainer. I mean, if you're looking for something to support, it helps the secular movement in general. It helps lay a foundation so that our children have some place to come together, have fun, make friends, forge those ties that are going to be with them for the rest of their lives, really. I look back, still with fond memories of the summer camps that I went to. It's always going to be a really great part of my life. And what would be better than providing some experience like that helps them become mature, thinking people. It's just a no-brainer.
We were a little late, but did you go over how the kids are grouped together in cabins and that sort of thing?
I didn't go over that, but we do divide by gender and age group. So given the numbers we had 3 cabins on the boys' side, youngest, middle, and older, and then we had 2 cabins on the female side.
So how many are in a cabin?
Well, we had 39 total campers last year, and it was just slightly weighted towards the male side, if I recall correctly.
The cabins this year will take a dozen to a cabin. So
When you have these activities, 8 to 18 is a pretty big range.
It is.
From asking. So if you are gonna have activities? Do you kind of divide them out by
Uh,
age, or you just throw them all
In activities, we actually maintain a good spread and intermix of all. We do believe all ages have things to learn from each other. Just, you know, us up here at the counselor area learn things from the kids. So we would be remiss if we weren't letting them learn from each other closer to their own age groups. And it is part of socialization in general. You need to be able to get along with and communicate with those around you no matter what age.
Could you elaborate a little bit on your screening process for the adults that are going to be around the kids?
That is
There are
something that
specific
that's something
safety
that can be a little bit of a concern to those that want to be counselors, because we do take a whole boatload of public information that then goes into a standard background check that uses the law enforcement databases, the state records, the of course sex offender, but yes, at least there's a 4-point checklist that includes the multi-state databases, et cetera, to do a full FBI type background check.
And all volunteers also have to basically affirm, there's a sort of a statement of humanist principles, just so they sign that, they affirm, yes, I do affirm my affinity for these humanist principles, just so that everything's clear. Sometimes nothing's happened with us so far, but I've heard stories that sometimes that people apply to other Camp Quests not realizing that it's a bunch of free thinkers, and I don't know what they think it is, but so having that makes it very clear that yes, you are a humanist, you're a free-thinking humanist, and you are, or you understand that these are the principles of Camp Quest.
Right. Have you ever encountered any kind of like protesting or anybody trying to?
I personally have, but not with Camp
Savor.
Quest.
No,
Kids.
not with Camp Quest.
No.
The very first year that we were in existence, we got a bit of a write-up in the newspaper. Actually, we were in the newspaper, and we were on some news, some TV stations also. And a few people were a little antsy, being in Texas. DFW is a fairly metropolitan place, cosmopolitan place. But people were kind of anxious, like, what's going to happen? And the very first day, they were on pins and needles, and nothing happened. About a week later, there was I think it was to the creationist organization, Answers in Genesis, or Creation, well, one of them. They're based in Dallas. They had heard about it through the news, and they wrote a little article on their blog that was, a little grouchy. That's about it. That's the worst that we've experienced so far.
It's almost entirely positive, and even that which isn't is lukewarm at worst.
It's good to hear.
Yeah. I think one of the most notable things about camp is the fact that, from what I heard, every single counselor and every single camper wanted to do it again. How many events do you hear that about? Everyone involved wanted to do it again.
Hayden? You want to do it again?
Yes, definitely. I wouldn't miss it for anything.
So do you have one counselor in each?
At least two.
Associated with each
We
group?
have a general policy of 2 counselors around the campers at any given time.
Oh, that's good.
Our general rule of thumb is 1 per 5, 1 per 6 counselor to campers.
It's the basic
Is
ratio.
our goal, our ratio goal.
How are you tracking for this year to have a number of campers?
This year, we've just registered our 41st.
We have already topped
So
last year, and registration's not over with yet.
Great.
yeah, we were planning somewhat liberally for 50 this year, just based on the growth patterns. But of course, everything depends on the number of counselors that we have. If that's our, we don't have a formal cutoff. But we'll have to cut it off when we don't have any more volunteers left.
I don't know, I'm just going to assume everyone doesn't know where Lake Texome is. Some people might not. Can you give some people an idea of travel distance for this year?
Second?
Yeah.
Okay, 2.5 hours from here. If you know where, it's almost like halfway between here and Dallas, except east of it. It's just a little northwest of Sherman, if you know where Sherman is.